everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to be talking about a visual novel that I just finished, and that is Deathmark. So just a quick one here, I haven't done reviews in a really long time. They're not something I typically do, but I figured that I've been playing so many games lately that I feel like it's necessary. My reviews are very emotion and feeling based, so I'm not going to give you all the specs and details of a game, so it's going to be how I personally feel. I think that really helps sometimes because there are reviews for that, there are people who do that, and then there are more my style, which is not as detailed, but more like, is this a yay or a nay? So let's jump right into this, and Deathmark, if you don't know, is a visual novel. I played it on the Nintendo Switch, which I thought was a great way to play it. You can get it on a ton of other platforms. The great thing about the Switch version, and I think maybe a few of the other versions that are out there, but I know for sure not the Vita, the Switch version has extra content, so instead of it being DLC, it's just part of the game, which is definitely a benefit. I think that's why the Vita version is apparently $10 cheaper, so if that's something you care or don't care about, maybe something to note. I suck at explaining gameplay, so let's just try this out here. This is a visual novel with gameplay elements, so it's not just text, you are not just reading, but it's kind of like a dungeon crawler mixed with a point-and-click adventure. So it's all from first person. If you are walking down a hallway or a forest or anything like that in the game, it's all from first person, and then when you get to a certain area or a room, you will have the point-and-click aspect, and so you will click on items, and then you will obtain all those items and use them to, say, defeat a spirit or do something else in the game. So say you're stuck and you need a key, then you might find a key in another room, and then you'll use that key in another room. So you will basically take the items you get in one room, maybe use them in another, or use them for a boss fight. So yeah, this is still a visual novel. You are still reading a ton of stuff. There's a lot of text, a lot of reading, right? So, you know, if you're not into that, you may not like this. If you're into JRPGs, you're used to tons of dialogue and text. So I think JRPGs and visual novels go really hand in hand, actually. If you like one, you probably like the other. That's not the case for everybody. I know a lot of people who hate visual novels because they'd probably just rather read a book, and I understand that to some degree. But these are cool because they're like books with some aspect of interaction. So you can point and click, you can sort of explore and find things in order to progress the story. What is the story in this game? Well, it's basically you're a guy who all of a sudden gets this mark on his arm, and now he's gonna die. So your character gets the death mark, and basically when you get the death mark, you have a very limited amount of time to live, and you start to forget everything. So he doesn't really know who he is or how he even ended up with the death mark, etc., etc. He uses a fake name, and he doesn't even know who his real name is. He goes by Yoshiki in the game, and then he slowly meets different characters, and each chapter kind of introduces you to different characters who also have the death mark, and together you are slowly trying to figure out how did we get the death mark, and how do we get rid of the death mark so we don't die. So this involves exploring a lot of areas, such as a forest or a elementary school or a hotel or whatever. You basically are exploring different places. Spooky things happen. You have to make decisions fast sometimes. So that's another warning in this game. If a spirit will come, you have to click an answer, and it's timed. Like, you have, like, say 6 seconds to figure it out, and if you pick the wrong thing, it's game over. So you definitely want to know and pay attention to what's going on, because you can actually die in this game. Having said that, you can definitely use a walkthrough, figure it out if you're really just wanting to use this as a visual novel. Kind of like me, I had no patience for stuff like that, but you can be hardcore and definitely play the game as it should be. So that's basically the overall vibe of this game. It's a spooky horror game, so there's another part of the story for you. It's definitely not fun or a rom-com or anything like that. It's definitely spooky. I am kind of a cold, heartless person sometimes and don't get scared or don't feel things, and to me this wasn't like that scary per se. I don't know, it's really hard to like really freak me out, and this is not freaking me out. I don't know, like ghosts, I have to say though, this is really R-rated. There's some weird images and imagery in this game that are definitely not for kids, and it's very R-rated. You know, you might find somebody naked and they're bound, so just a heads up for that. Like, there's some weird stuff in this game, some freaky Japanese stuff. Having said all of that, though, it is really good. I liked it. I found the writing to be a little dry. Like, I went in having this idea, like, ooh, super creepy, because I like a lot of these games. I like Danganronpa. I like 999, like Zero Escape and stuff. I like creepy stuff, and this was not creepy enough for me, and I found it to be, I don't want to say boring, but I want to say a little. I didn't get fulfillment from it. I wasn't truly satisfied from it, I guess. It's good. Deathmark is definitely good, and I think there are people out there who will enjoy this more than me, but I'm just saying that for me, I wanted more from it. I thought, oh my god, you have a mark on your hand and you're going to die. This could be so much more tense, so much more creepy, so much more like just, creepy and chilling. And it wasn't. So, again, this is my personal take. Somebody might have thought this was super, like, just very unsettling and creepy, but for me, it just wasn't. It could be because of the ghost concept. That doesn't really freak me out as much as, like, I found, like, Zero Escape. Like, those games, I find them a bit more unsettling, because it's like a murder mastermind trapping people, and there's something really creepy about that to me. But again, that's a personal thing. Like, that to me is creepier than, say, a ghost putting a curse on you. Like, that's just kind of like, I like this game a lot. However, it could be because I was playing it a lot in bed, and when you're playing a game in bed, and you're wandering around a dark, like, abandoned school, I definitely fell asleep a lot in this game. Not because it's boring, but I'd just be like, did I go in that room? And then I woke up 2 hours later with the Switch in my hand, like, oh shit, I gotta go to bed. So it took me longer than I think it should have, and I think it's because of what I did and how I was playing it. But yeah, I don't know. This game's good. To me, this game is like a 7.5 out of 10. Is that fair? Do you guys like that? Because it's just not... This one's tough because I feel like I've played enough visual novels and games with visual novel elements in them that I feel like this is definitely not a favorite. If you guys connect with me on a game basis, like, oh, I really like all the stuff Femtrooper likes, you may not like this. However, it really depends on what you think is scary and what freaks you out. Because, yeah, like, Paranormal Activity, like, that is freaky shit to me. Fair enough. I understand that there, like, some ghost stuff kind of is like, ugh, or, like, whatever. Like, but this, I don't know. There's something that it could have been done better. I don't know if I would have preferred more animations or whatever, but it didn't, yeah. There is not a lot of voice acting in this game. Like, a couple lines. Like, you are mostly just reading here. So if you're looking for voice acting, you're not gonna find it here. And the music is okay, but it was sort of the same, like, 4 tracks recycled. And although some of it was kind of creepy and fit, I wasn't, like, in love with it. Like, this is not something I want to listen to over and over again at all. It's sort of very generic, and I was just, like, I was just left kind of like, meh. At the end of the day, Deathmark is definitely, out of all the games I've played this year, it definitely is lower on my list for just games I've loved. And I know you can't compare visual novels to platformers or JRPGs or, you know, shooters or whatever. However, it just is not a favorite game I played this year. That being said, I still liked it. I didn't hate this game. I actually do like it. I had an okay time with it. And to me, that means something. It's definitely not a game that I, like, wanted to throw out the window, but it's also not a game I love and I'm going to cherish or anything. I think this is worth a shot. If you like visual novels and you do like creepy things, you should maybe give it a shot, but it might be worth it actually to watch a little bit of gameplay so you can get a feel for it. Watch 20 minutes of a Let's Play or something of this, just so you can get a vibe, because that's the whole thing for me, is the vibe. If I'm not connecting with the characters, which I really kind of didn't, and that means a lot to me because you guys know I like characters and story, and I just didn't really connect with it. I found it a little lackluster. So yes, I want to recommend it, and sometimes I don't want to recommend it. So it's very in the middle to me. This can go both ways, and I know that's not helpful in a review, but it's just a personal experience. So, you know, that you might be watching this thinking like, yeah, I'm going to stay away from that. And somebody else might be like, you know what? I love visual novels though. I might actually like it way more than Paige did. So that's totally fair. And I think it is worth checking out. It's definitely like I said, an average 7.5 out of 10 for me. Those are my thoughts about Deathmark. Do I regret playing it? Absolutely not, because I like visual novels, and it's an interesting story, and I think it is worth telling, and it's worth reading and worth playing. Let me know in the comments if you have played this game, or if you've played any similar games, if you have any recommendations. I would love to hear it. Anything. Please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.